I want to talk today about how to make millions from paid ads. And I feel comfortable telling you this because I've made over $25 million with just under 5 million in ad spend. And I see a lot of content online where people are talking about how to run paid ads, and I think they wildly overcomplicate it. So this video, which is going to be from a presentation that I recently did, is going to be the 4 steps that we take on any advertising campaign that we run in order to make it wildly profitable.
Lesson number 1, MAGA. Who knows what that means? Not a lot of MAGA fans here. Okay. Make attribution great again. All right? This is something I learned a while ago. So does anybody here use Hyros? Yeah? Few people? Okay. Who runs ads to acquire clients or runs ads for their clients? Raise your hand. Okay, figured as much, right? So if you're not using Hyros, I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever, just be clear here. But I do respect people when they make great companies. So if you're not using Hyros and you're running ads, I think you're making a huge mistake. So I just threw this on here because I personally run ads for our 8-figure company because I think it's a really good use of the time as a CEO, and honestly, I'm really great at it. And one of the biggest mistakes I make when we work with a client is that, and what I used to do was I used to run ads only off of what Facebook and Google showed me. So this is literally, I just took a screenshot from one of our ad accounts inside of here, and as you guys can see, like starting from the top to the bottom, Hyros is the black one, and the white is actual Facebook. The actual cost per call is $518. Facebook says it's $129. The one below that was shockingly accurate, but the one below that, Facebook's saying it's $62, it's actually $138. Facebook's saying it's $46, it's actually $100. Facebook's saying that you've gotten 5 calls at $210, and there's 0 calls that have actually been attributed, right? So majority of the time, whenever I work with a client and they say, you know, they're doing multiple 6 or 7 figures and they say ads don't work, it's almost always because they don't have proper attribution. And I've actually never seen anybody talk about this that much in depth. I actually saw the last person, or Mike, I saw Mike talk on it for 1 second, which I loved. But attribution is the most important thing when it comes to ads. And it's not just knowing, did they come from Facebook, did they not come from Facebook? It's knowing which ad set, AKA which targeting did they come from, and which ad creative did they come from inside of that targeting. So you can literally double, triple, quadruple the profitability in your business by installing this, and it's like $350 a month. And I know that because that's literally exactly what we do with a lot of our clients. They're spending $30,000 to $50,000 a month. We install Hyros for them, and we're able to be like, yeah, and they were having an ads agency run with them previously. We're like, yeah, turn 90% of these off and put all the ad budget inside of here, and then they were able to scale from that, right? So if you're not doing Hyros, please, if there's one thing you take from this presentation, like either Hyros, there's a bunch out there. I think there's Wicked something and Segmetrics and a few other ones, so some kind of attribution. And the other thing is that we were able to take an e-commerce agency to almost $700,000 a month from $50,000 a month because we started having them charge a percentage of sales, and they were able to charge a percentage of sales because they had accurate attribution. Or if you don't do that, if you don't have Hyros, you don't have accurate attribution. So you can now start saying, hey, I want 10% of sales or 10% of profit, more likely if you're doing e-commerce, when you're running ads for them, right? In addition to that, the other cool thing you can do with ads, does anybody here have like an online presence, like YouTube, Instagram, anything like that? Yeah, a few people? Cool, okay. So I have a YouTube channel, and one of the cool things that we've done, and I installed Hyros I think a year or 2 years ago, and I use Hyros, but you can interchange that with any other attribution software. What I did is I put it on all of our YouTube videos, pretty much every website link that we have outside, online. And I was able to really quickly identify that the #1 source of booked calls and closed deals for our company was YouTube. And so this was at a time when I was spending, probably a few $100,000 a month on ads to acquire clients for our company. And I realized that the majority of the actual closed deals that were coming in were not necessarily from ads, they were from YouTube, which has almost no cost per acquisition. So these were people that are watching like 3 to 5 videos, they already know who we were, the sales cycle was super tight, and we were able to close them anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000 on 1 or 2 phone calls. So what I did was I took some of that advertising budget that I had, and I created an entire content department. Now we have 11 team members, I'm a creative director. We spend quite a bit of money every single month on literally just creating content. We have a separate YouTube channel, and it generates around 60% of our closed deals every single month, just YouTube. And that's still with us spending multiple 5 figures a month on ads for ourselves. So it has a lot, and you can see right there, it says YouTube page, Ravi Abuvala using LinkedIn lead generation. So like the titles of the YouTube videos, I'm knowing that you just booked a call to speak with us after you watch our LinkedIn video. Does that make sense? Yeah. Pretty cool, right? For people that don't know, once again, I said I was gonna nerd out, and I just don't see anybody talking about this. So you can literally set up rules. So you can go inside of Hyros or whatever software it is, and you can say, hey, any website that has this parameter or has this link inside of it, I want you to tag them as YouTube organic. So then at the end of the month, end of the week, you, your CMO, your media buyer can go in there and literally say, these are all the people we got from YouTube. We do the same thing for podcasts, so I have a podcast as well. We do the same thing for my Instagram, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our cold emailing, our warm emailing, nurturing, et cetera, right? And then the other thing, once again, I don't see anybody talking about this, and this is important if you're running ads, is that if Facebook, if we go back to the beginning of this, if Facebook is inaccurately attributing your ads, then it's also inaccurately sending data back to the pixel. So if it thinks that you're not getting any booked appointments and you are getting booked appointments, then it's not optimizing the pixel. If it thinks that you're not actually getting sales and you are getting sales, then it's not optimizing the pixel. So what you can do with Hyros is you can actually use Hyros to send data back over to Facebook and the pixel. And I promise you there's nobody here that's a media buyer that's better than the Facebook pixel. So what you can do is you can actually optimize it so that when you're running and you're optimizing for, I know there's a lot of e-commerce people here, so you're optimizing for purchase or ATC, you can literally have that be as accurate as possible from the data being sent back from Hyros. Make sense? Is everybody still with me here? Is this okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. The other thing that is a ninja hack that I figured out on my own, if you look on the right side, you see this unqualified appointment bot thing. So now that I can control the flow of information between like our sales process and Facebook, what I decided was like, all right, if anybody here knows how Facebook ads work, you actually optimize the pixel based on different events. So now that we're sending all of the right data to Facebook, it's optimizing for all the book calls we get. But in our company, out of 100 applications, we'll only make an offer to 3 to 4 people, right? And I'm gonna show you guys that in a moment, how we have our sales process. But out of 100 applications, we'll make an offer to 3 to 4 people. So Facebook is optimizing for 97 people that are not my qualified clientele. So instead what we did was we set up an automation so that if our qualifier, which is someone that's on our sales team, if they say, hey, this person is a 1 or a 2, meaning that they're not our ideal client based on their application, he clicks a button, it notifies our virtual assistant, they go inside Hyros and they delete that person from Hyros, and now they don't send that to Facebook. So what happens is, over time, if I started with 100 applications being sent to Facebook and 3 or 4 of them were actually qualified, now I'm only sending those 3 or 4. What happens is now that 3 or 4 becomes 10 out of 100, then 20 out of 100, then 30 out of 100, then 50 out of 100, and now your ad campaign is 3 to 10 times more profitable than it was previously because you're only sending back the most qualified data. Make sense? I'm telling you, the stuff seems like nerdy and not fun, but I promise you, this is the stuff that, it's not the other stuff that people talk about when it comes to ads. Like at a foundational level, a lot of the stuff about hooks and creatives is unbelievably important, but as you're scaling, some of this little stuff here can take you to the moon. Cool. And then the other final cool thing about audiences or Hyros and integration with Facebook, and this works for Google and TikTok and all the other ones, is that you can actually make it so that when you tag somebody inside of Hyros, it sends it back to that audience. So our best performing audience on Facebook to date is a lookalike audience of what we call DC&C, which is demo completed, not closed. So that means that we got on the phone with them, so they made it all the way through the qualification process we have, which is incredibly rigid. So we got on the phone with them, which means that they are literally our most ideal client, and we just weren't able to close them because the sales team wasn't able to close them. But that's a significant amount of people, right? Let's say you take 100 sales calls a month, you have a 20% close rate, just to be conservative. 80 people that are qualified, you didn't close, you're just not leveraging that data. So instead, we send that back from our CRM to Hyros, and then from Hyros to Facebook. So now always that data is optimizing, and that lookalike audience is getting more and more accurate. Make sense? Cool. Lesson number 2, less friction and then more. This is kind of counterintuitive to even what I used to believe like 1 or 2 years ago, right? So the idea is, at least for us and our clients, we make it easy to book a call with us, but very hard to get on the call with us. Where I see most people do the exact opposite. They make it incredibly hard to book an appointment with them, either because their funnel's not optimized, they're not using correct attribution, you know, they have a 2-hour delay before the button pops up, whatever else the reason is, they make it incredibly hard to book. And then once they book, they have no qualification process, and as long as you have a pulse, you can get on the calendar. We're the exact opposite, right? So an example of this is I used to run 1 to 2 hour video sales letters. So I create a lot of video sales letters for myself and our clients. I used to run 1 to 2 hour video sales letters, and they performed. But then I started testing out literally like 8 to 10 minute video sales letters. And this is one that I shot actually when I was hosting our last event in Medellin, Colombia. This is literally, that's Medellin in the back. Anybody here been to Medellin? Yeah? Yeah, there you guys go. When I was there, I shot a VSL. We just sat down and I shot it right in the room when we came in. And that's our best performing VSL to date, and it's 7 minutes and 25 seconds. So people are watching this, and then they're purchasing something from $15,000 to $50,000 from us, like within 6.5 days. So I made it easier for them to book by just making the offer a no-brainer. And I didn't have to put them through an 1.5-hour, 2-hour long webinar or anything like that. And we're actually this has a higher ROAS than any other video sales letter that we've ever run, right? Another thing that we do, does anybody have any curation in their application process for calls? Someone wants to book with you. Do you guys have any kind of auto curation process to cancel? No? One person in the back? Shout out to you. All right, well, I'd recommend doing this. If you think about it, technically advertising or organic marketing is what is known as net marketing, meaning you're just casting a wide net, right? So when you're casting a wide net, if you actually know who you're supposed to be serving, it's not every single person. And it always bothers me when I talk to a client, they go, well, I can help anybody as long as they have $7,000. That's not really what you should be looking at. You should be thinking of, okay, I know you can help anybody if they have $7,000, but if you want your company to be around for a while, who do you actually get results for every single time? And that's what you should build your audience based off of. So for us, like we don't work for anybody, we don't work with anybody that makes less than $8,000 a month in recurring revenue on average for the past 90 days. So in the application process, if they say that they make $1,000 a month or less, or $1,000 to $5,000 a month, we actually redirect them to purchase the recordings from the last event that I hosted in Miami in 2022. And there's a little text that says at the top, thanks so much for applying. Unfortunately, it looks like you're not a good fit. And we probably get like 3 to 4 people buy those recordings every single day. And they're like $197, so a few $100s. But the idea behind it is that I don't have to have 7 or 10 salespeople to run an 8-figure sales team. I can have 4 because they're only getting on the calls with people that are very qualified. See, the reason I don't like Calendly is because you can't redirect them before they book the call. Let me rephrase that. We love Calendly. We use Calendly. The reason I like to put an application page before Calendly is because you can't auto-redirect based on their questions in Calendly. So I do recommend to have some kind of application beforehand, so that way they don't even get a chance to book a call on your calendar, right? The next thing I recommend doing, this is something I did, I think 5 months ago, is create a one-pager. So about a year ago, I kind of had the realization that I was having a conversation with somebody else outside about this. Like, I knew that, and you probably will all go through your own business cycles, but I was the big sales and marketing guy that was fucking nuts on ads, and like, I just wanted to acquire, kind of churn and burn thing. Not that I was like being malicious with it, but I thought that was how you scaled the company. And then I realized that the most companies in the world that I really appreciate and I respect, none of them run any ads. And I'm not saying that ads were wrong, but I was saying that the reason they never run any ads is because people just keep on buying from them once they buy from them one time. So you use ads to get a customer, and that customer buys from you for the rest of their life. So beginning of 2022, I decided, okay, I just never want to lose any of our customers. And that's actually a great book if you've never read it, How to Never Lose a Customer. So instead of just saying, hey, because I can help anybody grow their business. You're a real estate agent, insurance agent, an advertising agency, you're making $300 a month, you're making $3 a month, I can help you. But who do we get results for every single time? Who do we like working with? And then who can afford to pay us more money later down the road once we do get them results? So I sat down and I wrote, this is just one small section of the full one-pager, but I wrote this one-pager and I gave this to our CMO, our Chief Marketing Officer, and I gave this to our VP of Sales, and I was like, we'll no longer accept anybody that doesn't fall into this category. So for us, it's online service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, course creators, e-learning industry. Then the other things is they have to have minimum $8,000 monthly recurring revenue in the past 90 days. We have a $1,000 variance if they have like everything else in line, so they can go to $7,000 a month. At least 3 to 5 happy clients are being acquired a month, so it's not like they're coming to us and they just were like, had a fluke and they made it 1 month. It's like they have some kind of consistent process. They acquire clients through a sales call, so we don't help e-commerce. So we'll help an e-commerce agency because they get clients through a sales call, but we won't help e-commerce people because they're not getting clients through sales calls. They have to understand sales on a fundamental level. I used to teach sales to everybody. Now I have no interest in teaching sales because honestly, I don't think that sales is like that hard to learn. I think everyone's looking for the shortcut. Just fucking do 500 sales calls and you'll be better at sales. Like that's the secret. So they have to understand sales at a fundamental level. Another example is their lifetime value has to be greater than $3,000, or they're willing to let us rework their offer to make it so that their lifetime value is greater than $3,000. Some of the other stuff that's not on here is that they have to at least close $1,000 in cash whenever they close a deal. So that way I know, let's say for example, we cost $15,000. If we're able to get their whole end-to-end marketing system up in 3 days and we get a bunch of booked calls on their calendar, if they close 10 deals in the first 30 days, they've already made $10,000 back in cash, minimum if their thing is $1,000. But if their minimum is $100, it's the same amount of energy to get 10 clients for $100 as it is to get 10 for $1,000. So now we have to get 10 times the amount of clients. We on board with all that? Does that make sense? I'm telling you, we did this at the beginning of the year, and the difference in referrals, renewals, ascensions, and just the ease of us like satisfying our clients. And then even on top of that, I'm fortunate enough now where I don't like have to beg for clients anymore, just to like run a company that actually is like, you actually like the people that you're working with. Because there was a time not too long ago where I worked with people because I needed to pay bills. And that's never fun, right? But you can get to a point where you can detach yourself from that and you can build something like this, and I'm telling you, it will transform your business. All right, lesson number 3, get the in-between guys, right? So the in-between guys is what I call appointment setters. So this is another big mistake I see in the sales process marketing space. People use and sell appointment setters like they are they're gonna fix your process. Like, oh, all you need is appointment setters, right? Appointment setters are amazing, but they increase the efficiency of a sales process. They are not the sales process. So if someone's telling you just need an appointment setter and you have a pretty sloppy sales process, I almost promise you that's not what you actually need. Now, once you refine your sales process and then you put an appointment setter on it, it can take your shit to a whole new level. And this is something that I show my clients. I call how to 3 times efficiency of sales processes. I know, very, very original title. But so let's say on average, someone becomes a lead. 10% of the people that become a lead book a call, and let's say you have a 30% close rate once they book a call. If you have a good appointment setting team dialed in, you can get a personalized diagnosis, meaning the person comes in for a lead, they gave you name, email, phone number, the appointment setter looks them up in a CRM, sees that they have whatever, an e-commerce agency, and they serve these certain people. Appointment setter sees that, shoots them a text message, hey Bob, just saw you opted in about us building a marketing system for you. Here's an e-commerce agency exactly like you that we helped double their revenue in the first 30 days, check it out. So that'll increase the booking rate by 15%. And then, once they book the call, our appointment setters are only paid off of deals closed, not just for setting an appointment. So they are incentivized to make sure that that deal actually closes. So then, even if the salesperson gets a little bit lazy, they are still following up with those people throughout the sales process to make sure they close. So you can see a 10% increase in close rate from that, right? So on the original funnel, I call it the automated funnel conversion because no one's talking or touching those people. It's 0.3%, or I'm sorry, 3% of a conversion rate from a lead all the way to a closed deal. If it's a supplemented conversion funnel, meaning that there's people that are helping out that process, whether it's emails, automated text message, appointment setters, you can get up to a 10% conversion rate. So by putting a few appointment setters in or automations or whatever else it is, you've 3 times what you're doing. So this is kind of the stuff that I'm talking about here. None of this is revolutionary. I'm very well aware of that. But these are little small levers that you can pull to increase the profitability of your company, which is important. Without spending any more on ads, you're getting more out of the back end. Those are the systems you should be looking for. Cool. Lesson number 3, treat them like athletes. So this is something that took me a while to figure out, but when I did, I Totally redid how we did all of our appointment setting process, how we did our entire sales process. And so now I literally treat our sales team, our appointment setting team, and now I'm even working on doing with our client success team, like athletes. What do I mean by I treat them like athletes? I mean that they literally, I just want them to come in and I don't want them to think about anything. Like an athlete, you know, LeBron James doesn't fold his own clothes. He doesn't think about what he's gonna eat. He doesn't even think about how he's gonna work out. Someone's there every single step of the way telling him how to do everything, and he just, right when it's the game-winning shot, I don't watch a lot of basketball, so whoever he plays for, but he makes it because all of his energy has been saved for that moment. The mistake that I see in a lot of sales processes, including my own, used to be, was that like the salesperson, everything was manual, everything was so disorganized, they would spend so much time and energy just having to get the person through the sales process that their sales percentage would drop, and you'd have to get another salesperson, et cetera, et cetera. So instead what we did was we increased the systems so that they were just like robots. That's what I want you guys to make your teams, robots. And this is not disrespectful to them. I feel like I'm being disrespectful to this side over here. That's not disrespectful to them because they are gonna be good at what they're really good at. LeBron James doesn't think it's disrespectful that someone's doing his laundry because he knows that that allows him, if anything, he's grateful for that because that allows him to do what he needs to do best. So a few examples of things that we've done. The CRM that we use for our company is called Close.io, and you can create what's known as smart views inside of there. So we create dynamic smart views. What's a dynamic smart view? Dynamic smart views is essentially where you can click on it, it's on the left-hand side of your screen when you log in, and then you can rip through that list of people, and as soon as you reach out to that person one time, they disappear from that list. So this list says if they were created within the last 5 days, their potential, meaning that they're not a lost customer, they're within one of our 2 high-ticket products, they've never had a booked call, and they've not had someone from the appointment setting team reach out within the last hour, it shows up on the list. As soon as someone reaches out to that person, they disappear from that list. Why is that important? That means that literally all of my appointment setters do, they don't go in Slack, they're not like doing 50 different things, they're not looking at who do I reach out to today. They just log in the morning, just shotgun a Red Bull, and then they sit down and they rip through that list. As soon as they message somebody, it disappears. They're on the next thing. That's using automation, that's using software to make the team more efficient. Another example of this is, once again, having the setting team and the sales team communicate with each other. Yo, tell me everything about this client. Oh, he's a good guy, he's a bad guy, they do this, they do that. Like, my client success director is here, and I was telling him earlier, we were both agreeing that, ironically enough, if you have to communicate a lot inside of your company to get stuff done, that's actually a sign of ineffectiveness. People should not have to talk to each other to figure stuff out. So instead what we did was we created it so that once a setter got on a call with somebody, they would create what we call setter call notes inside the CRM. And so they could say, hey, this is a demo scheduled, their biggest obstacle is this, they want to fix it then, where do they hear of us is here. So then the salesperson, let's say the setter sets an appointment for tomorrow, goes out, has a binger, just goes nuts, gets blacked out, doesn't go to sleep till 6 a.m., the call's at 8 a.m., salesperson doesn't care. Well, maybe on a personal level he cares, but not on a professional level. He doesn't care because he just looks in the CRM and he sees that, okay, this is the person's biggest obstacle, et cetera, et cetera. And then he says, hey, Bob, I know you talked with Ryan yesterday, and you said your biggest obstacle was XYZ, and you found us through YouTube, blah, 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 blah. Seamless process, nobody has to talk to each other. Another few examples of athletes. Athletes have trainers, athletes have coaches. So, when I first was hiring like team leaders, sales team leaders, client success directors, I used to want to like save money and have them also manage clients and take sales calls. But then I realized that if you're actually truly managing a team, there's just no fucking way you can do anything else if you're doing a good job. There's just no way. So now my setter team lead, my sales team lead, my client success director, they don't manage any clients or take any sales calls. They just manage the team that does that. And that's leverage. So every single day, the top one is our appointment setter team lead. He's dropping in feedback on the people that they reached out to that day. He's also saying, hey, send the person an RTB. It's what we call ring the bell, which is like a win. Below that, I'm also auditing the messages every day because I don't have to talk to anybody. I can just go in that smart view, see all the messages that were sent, and I'm like, hey, I would probably use a little bit more personalized messaging here, so I'm giving them feedback. And then on the right-hand side, I can see, this is a Zap we have set up, how many leads were created yesterday, how many leads that we actually reached out to, and how many leads did we not reach out to. So I can know without having to talk to my setter team lead or whatever, I'm like, hey, we have 30 people that weren't contacted yesterday. So either A, we're not being efficient, or B, we need to hire a new appointment setter. So on a daily basis, this KPI is coming in automatically, right? This is our sales team leader doing something really similar for our sales team themselves. So we're setting projections on a daily, weekly basis. We're seeing if they're holding those projections throughout the day. They're also listening to sales calls. So he listens to one sales call from each rep every day, or at least tries to, maybe every other day. It's a lot, obviously, of listening. And so he gives feedback. And then if he finds a really great sales call, he'll tell everybody else, listen to this call. This guy crushed it on this call. So everyone out here that's like, you have all this variance between your sales team. It's like, oh, some people are closing here, some people are closing 30%, some people are closing 20%, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the times you're looking and you're trying to add more, when in reality you just need to make efficient what you already have. And the final part of this that I didn't put on here that I think is really important, going back to like variation and increasing the efficiency of a sales process, is about like 4 or 5 months ago, we implemented a pitch deck. So I've been building video sales letters for like 2 or 3 years. And I just was like, well, if I could just close people on $50,000 products without having them talk to a sales team, I would. But unfortunately, we're not at that space yet. So they have to talk to a sales team. So what if instead of having like the salesperson, this guy has his own mojo, that guy has his own vibe, this person likes to say this person likes to say that. What if I just had them read from a video sales letter that I've created? And that's essentially what a pitch deck is. Once again, it's not an insult to them, because now instead of them having to like recite this whole thing and use all this brain energy to think about like, what do I say next? They just get to literally say what's on their screen, and then in the important parts that's required, like a personal diagnosis of their bottlenecks, a personal recommendation, they get to shine and be the best that they could absolutely be. Exact same thing as the athletes. Cool. I told you guys I was going to keep it super tight, and that's what I did. Just implementing 1 or 2 of these things here will have a drastic increase of efficiency. Efficiency, if anybody knows me, or at least my team members, is my favorite word. Because efficiency essentially means you are getting more with less, which is what I talked about at the very beginning of this presentation, right? How do you have a business that serves you instead of the other way around? It's not by just fucking piling on more and more stuff to solve problems. It's by stripping it down to the most fundamental level of it, and then building systems, efficient systems that helps you scale without having to hire a whole lot of human capital. Because I know there's some really amazing, talented heavy hitters in here that run teams of like 100 or 200 people, and it's a fucking nightmare to deal with that many people. I can tell you guys that.